Welcome to our explainer on Module 5, Price Determination. We've put this together to help you really master these concepts, especially for your exams.
Have you ever stopped to think about something like this? The answers, it turns out, are all about how different markets work, and that's exactly what we're going to break down today.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with the essential building blocks, then look at how prices are actually set. From there, we'll dive into the 4 main types of markets. After that, we'll test our knowledge with some practice questions, and we'll finish up with a super quick review of what you absolutely must remember for your exam. Let's get started. Okay, first things first. Before we can really get into the big picture of how prices get set, we all need to be speaking the same language. These are the foundational ideas for everything else we'll cover. First up, the most basic concept of all, the market. Now, this isn't just a physical place. It's really any situation where buyers and sellers come together. Think about your local farmer's market, sure, but also think about an online giant like eBay. The key idea is that their interaction is what shapes the price of a product. So what happens in that market? Well, we get what's called the equilibrium price. This is that perfect sweet spot, where the amount of a product that buyers want is exactly the same as the amount sellers are willing to sell. The seesaw analogy here is perfect. When demand and supply are perfectly balanced, the market price is stable. Now, these 3 revenue terms, you absolutely have to know these for your exams. Total revenue is pretty simple. It's just price times the quantity sold. Average revenue is just the revenue per unit. And here's a key tip. Average revenue is always just another name for the price. Don't forget that. Finally, marginal revenue is the extra money you make from selling just one more single unit. So, we have this idea of an equilibrium price. But how does a market actually get there? Well, it all comes down to 2 really powerful fundamental forces, demand and supply. This graph shows it all perfectly. You can almost see that invisible hand at work. We've got price on the vertical axis and quantity on the horizontal. The demand curve slopes down, because, people buy more when things are cheaper. The supply curve slopes up. Firms want to sell more when the price is higher. And that spot right in the middle where they cross, that's our equilibrium. Now, a really important takeaway for your exams is understanding what happens when things get shaken up. If demand for something suddenly goes up, both the price and the quantity sold will also go up. On the other hand, if the supply increases, maybe a new technology makes production cheaper, the price will actually fall, but the total quantity sold will rise. Okay, so that demand and supply model is a great start, but, not all markets are created equal. They operate under a different set of rules, and we call these market structures. Let's take a look at the 4 main types. This table right here is basically your roadmap for this entire section. It's perfect for exam revision. It lays out the 4 structures from perfect competition all the way to monopoly and compares them on the features you really need to know. Just look at the trend. As you move from left to right, the number of sellers drops from very many down to just 1, and it gets a lot harder for new companies to enter the market. All right, pay close attention to this word. This is a classic exam trap, so MCQ alert. The number 1 rule for maximizing profit is to produce at the point where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. That's MR equals MC. And here's the trick. This rule applies to firms in all 4 market structures. The rule itself never changes, but the final price and profit will look very different depending on the market. So let's look at the 2 extremes. In perfect competition, you have so many sellers that each one is a price taker. They have 0 control over the market price. For them, price, marginal revenue, and average revenue are all the same number. But a monopoly is the complete opposite. It's a price maker. It controls the market, so its price is always higher than its marginal revenue. This allows it to earn massive, sustained profits. Now for the 2 in the middle, which are actually what we see most in the real world. Monopolistic competition, think of all the different restaurants or coffee shops in a city, is all about product differentiation. Lots of firms, but each one's product is a little bit different. Then you have oligopoly, like the smartphone or car industry. This market is defined by just a few big players whose decisions are all interconnected or interdependent. This often leads to prices that are sticky, meaning they just don't change very often. So why are prices in an oligopoly so sticky? This logic explains it. Let's say one car company raises its price. What do the others do? Nothing. They keep their prices low and hope to steal customers. But what if that same company lowers its price? Well, now its rivals are forced to lower their prices too, just to keep their own customers. So either way, there's no real incentive to change the price at all. All right, we've gone through a lot of theory.
Now it's time to put it to the test with some exam-style questions to make sure these concepts really stick.
Okay, take a good look at this one. The market price, which remember is the firm's marginal revenue, is 10, but the cost to make one more unit is 12. So to maximize its profit, what should this firm do? Take a second to think it over.
The correct answer is B, decrease its output. Why? Well, remember the golden rule. Produce where MR equals MC. In this case, the marginal cost of 12 is higher than the marginal revenue of 10. That means the firm is actually losing money on its last unit of production. It needs to scale back. Increasing output would just make things worse, and we don't have enough information to know if it should shut down completely.
Okay, next question. This one gets to the very heart of the difference between a monopoly and perfect competition. How do these three things, price, average revenue, and marginal revenue, relate to each other for a monopolist? Let's check out the analysis.
The correct answer here is C. Now let's break this down, because it's a great way to think through these questions. First off, for any firm in any market, price is always equal to average revenue. So right away, you know options B and D are wrong. Now you're just choosing between A and C. The key for a monopolist is that to sell one more unit, it has to lower the price for everyone. That means the extra revenue it gets, the marginal revenue, is always going to be less than the price. Option A, where they're all equal, is only true in perfect competition.
Okay, we have covered a lot of ground, so let's boil it all down to the absolute most important high-yield facts you need to walk away with. Seriously, memorize this slide. Take a screenshot if you have to. These are the core rules that are almost guaranteed to show up on your exam. Let's hit the big ones one more time. All firms maximize profit where MR equals MC. In perfect competition, price equals marginal revenue. In all other markets, price is greater than marginal revenue. And finally, in the long run, only a monopoly can keep earning those supernormal profits.
And this quote really highlights why economists, at least in theory, love the idea of perfect competition. It leads to the most efficient outcome for society, where things are made at the lowest possible cost and sold at the lowest possible price. So I'll leave you with a final thought to take with you. Now that you know these models, which market structure do you think best describes the industry you hope to work in someday? The answer to that says a lot about the competition and the kind of power your future company might have. Thanks for joining this explainer, and good luck with your exams.